On April 25th, the China International Auto Show kicked off in Beijing, with major electric vehicle manufacturers showcasing their latest models. In China, the world's largest electric vehicle market, a life-and-death race has begun. From the perspective of vehicle quality, the life-and-death race is not just a metaphor. On April 26, a Huawei Aito M7 Plus was involved in a serious traffic accident. A family of 3 didn't survive. The person who uploaded the video wrote, "In the afternoon of April 26, my brother was driving a Huawei Aito M7, a 3-month-old new car. It rear-ended a watering truck on the highway while driving at a high speed. My husband, my brother, and my son, who was just 2 years old, were killed. After the rear-end collision, there was an explosion in the car." Afterward, the platform deleted the video posted by the passing drivers on Douyin. The family members of the victims also questioned why automatic emergency braking and God automatic emergency braking didn't kick in. Why did the battery catch fire even though it was so well protected? Why didn't the airbags do their job? In addition, in the video she received, the airbag failed to pop at the time of the accident. There was a rescue attempt by a Good Samaritan driver and 2 road workers who attempted to free the vehicle occupants, but unfortunately, no one survived. This accident hit the Chinese social media's hot list on April 28th, causing great concern among netizens about EVs in China. In July 2022, Chinese cell phone manufacturer giant Huawei unveiled a new model of electric vehicle, the Aito M7, positioned as a luxurious and smart large-size electric SUV with a starting price of about US $35,000. The CEO of Huawei's Smart Car Solutions division said at the launch, "We have invested heavily, RMB 500 million in the new Aito M7 series, spending RMB 100 million on new design upgrades for the interior and exterior alone, and upgrading the new vehicle with stronger body structure, chassis materials, etc. In addition, it has Huawei's Hongmen Smart Cockpit and Huawei's ADS 2.0 high-level smart driver assistance system." Aito is a brand jointly launched by Huawei and China's EV maker Ceres. Chinese media said that the 2 sides have developed a new model of in-depth cross-industry cooperation in their long-term partnership. Huawei's Aito has been found to have more and more problems. Ms. Tian, who lives in Zhengzhou, the capital city of Henan province, posted a video on Chinese social media describing how she spent more than 300,000 yuan, or about 42,000, on February 4th this year to buy an Aito M7. But on February 23rd, she found that the car wouldn't charge. She inquired with customer service, who responded that the charging station was the problem. She went to 5 different charging stations in Zhengzhou but still couldn't charge the car. She contacted the dealer and the after-sales service department several times. Although the latter admitted that there was a problem with the vehicle, they didn't offer a specific solution or respond to her request for a refund. The 2 parties have communicated many times but couldn't reach an agreement. Now they are in a deadlock. This lady said that after buying the new car, she had followed the normal process of charging. When the vehicle suddenly failed to charge, she tried various methods such as replacing the charging piles and checking the charging cables. However, the problem is still not solved. In addition, there are quality problems such as rattling and oil leakage while driving. Ms. Tian said that this failure has not only seriously affected her daily travel, but also instilled in her serious doubts about Aito's quality. Now, some Chinese netizens are calling Huawei the scum of China's EV industry. I'm not sure if you consider Huawei as a scumbag in the auto world. He claimed that he didn't make cars, but he gave birth to several children with the help of others. He gave birth to a child with Ceres called Aito, another child with Cherry called Luxeed, and now he has one more child with BAIC called Stiletto. It's rumored that Huawei is going to join hands with JAC to have another one. What do you think it'll be called? It should be called Crossing the Line. Huawei, a Chinese company with a military background, is known for making cell phones, but why is it so actively involved in the EV industry? It's because that's the direction the CCP wants it to go. Currently, the Chinese government is promoting new energy vehicles, and the industry is following in the footsteps of the Great Leap Forward. According to Investopedia, the Great Leap Forward was a 5-year plan of forced agricultural collectivization and rural industrialization that was instituted by the Chinese Communist Party in 1958. It resulted in a sharp contraction in the Chinese economy and between 30 to 45 million deaths by starvation, execution, torture, forced labor, and suicide out of desperation. It was the largest single non-wartime campaign of mass killing in human history. Since 2009, China's central finance has introduced new energy vehicle purchase subsidies, charging infrastructure incentive funds, new energy bus operation subsidies, and new energy vehicle innovation project incentive funds. Moreover, it has also spawned a great leap forward movement of new energy vehicles through preferential treatment such as purchase tax, vehicle and vessel tax, government procurement, and scientific research support. From 2015 to the end of June 2017, mainland China launched more than 200 new energy vehicle projects, with related investments amounting to more than 1 trillion yuan. Various types of auto companies have publicly announced new energy vehicle capacity of more than 20 million units, while the expected production of new energy vehicles in that year was 2 million units. Capacity planning was 10 times the expected output. At the end of 2017, more than 250 enterprises in China were approved with new energy vehicle production qualifications. However, only 18 of them had an output of more than 10,000 vehicles, and more than 70 had zero output. The layout of the industry is small and chaotic, with a low degree of concentration. In other words, the government replaces the market in resource allocation. State-owned enterprises under the baton of the CCP took advantage of all favorable conditions in terms of tax revenue, credit, government subsidies, and production and marketing channels, and they didn't have to bear any responsibility for losses, which resulted in the loss of state-owned assets and people's tax money. As a result, there is an odd scene in China where a large number of electric vehicles are abandoned in the wilderness. Let's take a look at our previous coverage.
These new cars all have license plates. They are placed on a small hill, and the hill above the hill. There is a slope below. More cars are parked on the slope. Let's open a car and see what's inside. It's brand new. The outside isn't brand new. They have been here for 3 years after all. They came out of the factory in 2017, December 2017. They got the license plates in 2018 and have been left in this small forest. They've been left like this. We can open them one by one and see. Take a look at this. Where is it? It says Jiangsu, Nanjing. Open this and have a look. 1.5T automatic gear. These cars are all up to standard. That is, they can run 600,000 kilometers before the mandatory scrapping. There is no scrapping because of age. If they run 200 kilometers a day, these cars can run almost 10 years, as their mileage is only a few dozen kilometers now. They are all like this. In the last 2 years, people in China have been spotting batches of abandoned new cars that comply with government requirements, including having license plates and annual inspection marks. Annual inspection in China is rather peculiar, which we will explain more about later. Now, let's take a look at this incredible collection of new cars. Please take a look. These zombie vehicles, it's not scary if you don't dig, but it's frightening when you look into it. These are all new energy minivans. Everyone take a look. They all have license plates, okay? Here is Changsha County's Xinsha Liaison Line, Laodao River Bridge. Everyone take a look. They have plates from Guangdong province. A license plate like this means it's a new energy vehicle. Everyone, take a look at its annual inspection mark. The earliest was 2019. Even 2020 and 2021 are done. Everyone, have a look, okay? This vehicle must have parked here for a few years. Annual auto inspection. It's fishy. I went to see their tires. From the tires, you can tell they are brand new and have virtually no mileage. Tires all look very new.
Why did it happen? It's because EVs aren't made to meet market demand. They are made to cheat the government for subsidies. If they are made for the market, they need to be of a certain quality, and if they include the sales and maintenance departments, the profit of those car companies would drop. It might as well dump them after they have obtained the government subsidy. In recent years, the CCP authorities have returned to the route of a planned economy and policies that have caused China's economy to enter a rapid downward spiral. In order to salvage the economy, the government has put forward the so-called new quality productivity in order to save the economy from the economic downturn caused by the depression of the real estate sector, and has upgraded the industries of new energy vehicles, lithium-ion batteries, and photovoltaic power to become the new industries to drive the economy. As a result, traditional auto companies in China are actively converting their fuel vehicles to electric vehicles. At the same time, a large number of enterprises with no automaking experience and basis have swarmed into the EV industry. In China's internet boom era, there was a popular saying that if you can catch the wind, even a pig can be lifted into the sky. It means that if you see the direction of the national policy and seize the opportunity, even if you don't know anything, you can make a fortune. Starting in 2017, bosses who started out as internet companies declared themselves as new car-making forces and began to join the army of EV makers. This also explains why the EVs in China are of horrible quality. Here's some honest advice from the guy who recycles electric vehicles.
这个电动车真的是垃圾啊。
The EV is really a piece of junk. Why? Yesterday we collected 4 new energy vehicles in one go. All 4 of them are scrapped. They all have the same problem. What is it? Their batteries are damaged. These cars were purchased by customers at a high price back then. Each of them is scrapped after less than 50,000 kilometers. If you think about it, they were sold to us for just over 3,000 yuan or more than $500 after they were scrapped. The customer bought the car for more than 7,000, which is a loss of more than 6,000 in 3 years. After all the losses, the used car has no residual value. Brothers, do you dare to buy such a car? Let's take a look at the car. See, this is a gas-powered car of the old brand, Jiangling 2016. This car is a new energy car that we collected yesterday. I believe that he wasn't well off when the owner bought this car. He wanted to save fuel and money by getting a new energy car. Who knows that he has fallen into a big trap? Will he be able to save money? Why do I keep saying, don't buy these new energy vehicles or these used new energy vehicles? We have collected many new energy vehicles every day to prove that these vehicles have really big problems. If you buy one, you will fall into a trap. On Chinese social media, some netizens have confessed their regrets after buying EVs. We assume that this is what's left after the mass deletion of posts. Under the CCP's directive of singing the bright future of China's economy, posts complaining about problems with EVs they bought shouldn't last long on China's web. We are not sure if it's just a tactic, but we have observed that Chinese netizens usually pair their complaints with happy, loud music in the background. Because of copyright issues, we've removed the original Chinese soundtrack from the mix. Here's Mr. Wang from Xinyang City, Henan Province, showing off the Xiaomi car he bought. He said, "Look, the tires are flat and the rims are broken, and it's only been a few days since I bought the car." In March, Chinese smartphone brand Xiaomi unveiled its electric car, the SU7. Xiaomi CEO Lei Juin said he wanted to launch the new premium car, which starts at 215,900 yuan, to compete with Tesla and Porsche. Let's remember Xiaomi CEO Lei Juin, the Chinese cell phone maker and electric car maker. He'll be seen again later.
3月28号呢，小米汽车呢正式发布。
The Xiaomi SU7 was officially released on March 28th. Until today, exactly 28 days. In 28 days, we have locked a total of 75,600 orders and have delivered over 5,700 units. These numbers may be nothing for the whole automobile industry, but may set many new records for electric cars. We'll do our best not to let consumers wait too long and guarantee 100,000 deliveries this year. I think Xiaomi has just started in the automobile industry, and there is still a very long way to go. I am especially grateful to the city of Beijing, and I think that if Xiaomi was not in Beijing, its automobile could not have made such achievements, nor could it have been created. The owner of this electric car is most likely not a fan of Mr. Lei right now.
买了电车才知道的几。
Before you buy the car, the salesman tells you how many kilometers the car can go. But after you buy it, you realize that that's the lab test result, not the actual range. In reality, the mileage will be at least 20% smaller, and if it's winter in the north, the mileage will be reduced even more. Before you buy, sales tells you how fast it charges. After you buy, sales says that in order to protect the battery, it's recommended that you don't frequently use the fast mode of charging. Before the sale, you are told how much money it can save you, and it only costs a few yuan for more than 100 kilometers. Only after you have bought the car do you find out that they showed you the cost of home charging piles, but the price of the commercial charging piles out there are different. In addition, if you buy an electric car, don't think it can keep its value. Nowadays, the replacement is too fast. 2 months after you get a new car, it has become an old model. The next thing you know, there are waves of price reductions and promotions for EVs. To summarize, the characteristics of EVs are that they can't be resold, they can't be repaired, and they save gas but not money.
省油不省钱。
How can the Chinese people buy such low-quality electric cars? Under the Communist Party's culture, the mentality of many businessmen in China is that as long as they can scam today, it's okay. China has such a large population, and with the government's tight control of public opinion and intense advertising, it can achieve amazing sales results. Indeed, it's like that. In 2023, China's new energy vehicle production and sales were 9.587 million units and 9.495 million units respectively, ranking first in the world in terms of production and sales volume for 9 consecutive years. Among them, 1.203 million units of new energy vehicles were exported, a year-on-year increase of 77.6%. China's electric vehicle sales account for about 60% of the world's total sales. Whether China's electric vehicle enterprises have provided different quality products to domestic and overseas customers, we haven't yet conducted any research in this regard. In January 2024, a vice minister of the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology pointed out that most new energy automobile enterprises, especially those that focus on domestic sales in China, haven't yet achieved profitability and that there is a shortfall in automotive chips. Even though the numbers for electric vehicles in China look glamorous, only a handful are truly profitable. In 2023, there were only 3 profitable electric car makers in China: Tesla, BYD, and Li Auto. The latter 2 companies have gross margins of 20% and 22.2% respectively, and Tesla has a global gross margin of 18.2%. China's NIO and XPeng currently lose more than 10 billion yuan a year. Some of the owners of EV companies won't admit that there is an overcapacity issue because they are on the gravy train of government subsidies. I'm actually quite curious. Recently, there's been so much discussion in the international media about the overcapacity issue because, in my opinion, it seems that this is an issue that the Chinese government should have been concerned about. But in fact, from our point of view, we do not see the problem of large-scale overcapacity. In fact, the demand for new energy vehicles in China is very strong. There are also those who tell the truth. For example, the chairman of Chery Automobile said during China's National People's Congress in early March that electric car makers are entering a race of life and death. According to a report by the Chinese media, China Business Network in September 2023, the total annual production capacity of the 15 automakers that have declared bankruptcy or in crisis exceeds 10 million vehicles, which is already more than the annual production of new energy vehicles in 2023. In the vicious competition, the owners of electric car companies that came from an internet company background have taken internet marketing strategies to the extreme.
车展真的变味儿了，不用看车，就盯着雷军和周鸿祎，一个绿衣服，一个红衣服，再加上一些明星，他们在哪儿，人群就在哪儿。汽车展馆里呢，不再秀技术，而是大型的追星现场。国外媒体都傻眼了，原来内卷到最后，卷的是流量，卷的是人情世故。他们怎么也没有想到，车展真的变成了一场大秀。 车展难道不应该是车企秀肌肉的地方吗？尤其是北京这种 A 类的车展，把自己前瞻的有洞察的思考拿出来，进行一场技术的碰撞。在乌泱泱的人群里，在漫天的流量里，汽车是怎样的，好像都不重要了。
这是看车吗？这他妈是看人吧！
Is this about cars? It's all about people. The hottest thing at the Beijing Auto Show today isn't any new car models, but 2 people. One is Mr. Lei, who has his own popularity and is followed wherever he goes. The other is Mr. Zhou, known as the Cannon because he dares to speak out, who is good at manipulating the crowd too. Have you noticed? New energy vehicles have entered the killing stage, and the competition among various car companies is no longer as simple as selling cars. It has become common for founders and CEOs to personally come out and sell cars. These bosses use live streaming to promote their own brands. At this point in time, the Chinese automaker has been said to be hijacked by efforts of getting traffic. And at this point in time, the traditional brands, including some state-owned enterprises and joint venture brands, their chairmen and CEOs don't have many opportunities for public exposure, and so far no one knows who they are. I just want to say that the world has really changed. Last year's price war was fierce. This year, up to now, car companies have found that price cuts don't work anymore. Now, the situation has become that it works better to promote people rather than cars. So the big shots of the new energy car companies began to create their personal brand. Consumers must think carefully. If you're going to pay money to buy a car, it should be for the car itself and not for the person who sells the car. Nowadays, the bad money is driving out the good money. Will this trend become worse in the future? Finally, let's take a look at a comment from a Chinese car blogger who sums up China's auto industry well. China's auto industry is heading in the wrong direction. I don't believe that a car is just a couch with a few tires. The bosses of these car companies have never made a car before, and they don't know how many problems are going to happen to the car in the future, like those who were originally in the internet industry, but got a little money and switched to the car business. How can they do a good job? They don't know what is called craftsmanship. I am not opposed to new energy vehicles, but they shouldn't be manufactured by people who know nothing about cars. Relying entirely on capital to drive an industry is very, very dangerous. You don't need an engine to make new energy vehicles. With the windfall of EVs, they think that pigs could be lifted to the sky. But in fact, they aren't good at making cars, not to mention the engine. They can't even do the chassis, brakes, or transmissions. So I think these domestic auto companies and new EV makers, most of them will fail in the future, and the time won't be very long. What they say about the future of China's automobiles is a joke. Now, we need a charging or replacement station every 100 kilometers. There are a lot of such car companies that have folded now. They promise lifetime battery replacements, but they are out of business. What's the point of lifelong replacements? If one can only live to be in their 70s, what's the point of promising something in their 80s? So those are all irresponsible promises. The new energy vehicles that haven't been researched and tested in depth will disappear fast, and their promises are nothing. New energy vehicles produced by those who don't know cars are a joke.
新能源由这些不懂汽车的结局做，就扯淡的。